People, what's up? I'm back. Today is a very special video of September the 3rd. Yay! Today's video is going to be the LA Kings versus the Anaheim Ducks, aka the Mighty Ducks. You might be like, what the hell? Alex doing a video on hockey? Well, I did basketball, I did pro football, I did college football. So the only sport I haven't really touched on is hockey. I want to keep this YouTube channel fresh and alive and reserved with different video series than doing the same thing over and over and over. And then that's how your channel gets boring. That's how it gets stale. That's how you lose subscribers. Then don't nobody subscribe to your channel because you're not able to come up with new, great, creating, and innovating things that make your viewers go, now that's a guy I can count on because when the time comes, he's going to come up with something I didn't expect. So I come with hockey. Now, it's no big secret. Well, actually, it is a secret. I am a secret LA Kings hockey fan. Ever since I was a little kid, I just love the hell out of hockey. If I wasn't watching basketball or football on TV, it was hockey. Now, as a kid, I did actually try to play some hockey. I was a natural at it. I was pretty good at it, but ultimately and disappointingly, kids in the neighborhood kept peer pressuring me to play basketball and wouldn't leave me the hell alone, so it was basketball. I mean, I did hockey and I also did swimming. And now when you think about it, I wish I had never gave up swimming and hockey, because now when I play street basketball at the park, you get all these people complaining, oh man, you could do this and you could do that. You could play defense. You can get the rebounds. And, you know, it's like I'm 32 years old and I'm sick and tired of grown-ass men trying to tell me when I need to play some defense and when to block in and when to block. I was like, how about I play a sport where I'm in full control and y'all can't tell me shit? You know, it ain't got nothing to do with you people on YouTube. It's just, you know, not to lose track of time. Anyway, this hockey video, we're going to talk about the history of the LA Kings, Mighty Ducks, the Anaheim Ducks, because when the basketball season start up, the hockey season start up around the same time. So I got to talk about hockey. And then somewhere in October, there are going to be not necessarily no videos, but I do have jury duty coming up, and today's a holiday, so I can't call downtown LA and say, hey, you think you can change my arraignment date for court? You know, when you get a jury duty summons, you just can't say no to jury duty, because if you refuse, well, you don't want the police coming to your house or your apartment, or even worse, to your job, and then you ain't got no job no more because you failed to appear in court because the judge wanted to see you face to face, man to man, eye to eye, and you failed to show up in court when asked to appear. You know, you can change your dates, but you still have to show up in court. So there might be a period where there may not be too many videos in the month of October just because of that. Now, it's supposed to be a one-day court case. Keep your fingers crossed, because it's supposed to be for one day. But if you get put on a murder case trial, then that can take 3 to 6 months. And then there could be a period where there won't be any videos. That's why a lot of people have issues with jury duty. But I was told that if you go to jury duty one time in your lifetime, they actually leave you alone after that. But you got to get picked. If you don't get picked, then we're okay. But if you get picked, then you got to at least do it one time in your lifetime so they can leave you alone, because that's how they work. Or otherwise you go to jail. And we're not trying to go to jail. So let's get on with the video and presentation and stop boring you guys to death. Now, the LA Kings is an organization that's just like the Los Angeles Lakers. You must give it 100% of winning. Now, the LA Kings have won 2 championships. Now, they came to Los Angeles, California in the late 1980s, early 1990s, and it was in 1991, 1992 that they came in prominence. They were real good when it came to winning games in hockey season. They won games, they lost games, They made the playoffs. They would lose in the playoffs. And then they had the one thing that helped them get into the playoffs for the next 17 years, when they made the biggest trades of the Western Pacific Conference, when Wayne Gretzky left Canada to come to Los Angeles, California, and become an LA King. And when he became an LA King hockey player, the organization was never the same again. They would win game after game after game after game. They would make the playoffs on a year regular basis. They would beat teams. And of course, they would play against their arch rival, the Anaheim Ducks. Or if you look at those movies in the 90s, the Mighty Ducks, and they would have a rival, and they would win games. But when it came to trying to win a Stanley World Cup, it just was not meant to be. They would go to the championship like maybe 2 times in the 1990s, and they would lose. And I remember that Wayne Gretzky played like 17 years for the LA Kings, and around that same time, Dan Marino was trying to do the same exact thing with the Miami Dolphins. And around that same time period, Wayne Gretzky feared that he would never win a Stanley World Cup. Played 17 years of professional hockey, could not win with the LA Kings, and then he retired, got into the Hall of Fame, coached a little bit, and then finally somewhere in the year 2012, they did the impossible. They won a Stanley World Cup after some 20 years of not able to win the big one. They finally won a Stanley World Cup in 2012. Now, they went back to the championship game a year later in 2013, and they lost in the championship game. And then in 2014, they go back to the championship, and they win again. So ultimately, they could have won 3 championships 3 years in a row. So the LA Kings end up being just like the Golden State Warriors. They won 2 championships in 4 years. Supposed to win 3 in a row, but they won 2 championships in a 4-year period. Now, some people might ask, why is the LA Kings hockey team all of a sudden struggling to win all of a sudden? Well, a lot of times when teams and sports win 2 championships in a 3-year or 4-year period, a lot of times you have injuries. Players get hurt, coaches get fired and hired, players get traded, organizations and general managers get into arguments, and the team, they're going to make the playoffs this season. The LA Kings are going to come back, kick ass, take names, dominate this hockey game as they know best, and they will win a 3rd championship either this year or in 2019. So I predict the LA Kings will be back in the championship game either in 2019 or in 2020. They will win their 3rd championship in their history franchise. And in the next video, I'll talk about who is the best player. The hockey player between, Wayne Gretzky and whoever I want to match him up against. But we're talking about the history of this team. Now, as for the Anaheim Ducks, they started their way of prominence in Anaheim, California in the mid-1980s and 1990s. So this organization's been around a lot longer than the LA Kings has. And this is also a professional hockey team that's here in California. Now, with them, it took them almost 30 years to win a championship. Or you might argue it took them 30 to 35 years to win a Stanley World Cup. Now, when they got into prominence, they had pretty much the same problem as the LA Kings. They won hockey games, they lost hockey games, they made the playoffs, they lost the playoffs, they had good players, and then sometimes some of their players got traded, and then they would have coaches, they would have good coaches, but they could never get over the hump. And then finally in 2006, they finally won a Stanley World Cup. Now, they only won 1 championship, and that's only because that year, the team that they were playing against, they were playing against their division rival, and one of the players on the other team got hurt, And plus, they had a bye, and all of a sudden, they made it to the Stanley World Cup and they won. They tried to repeat in 2007, and they almost made history. They almost won back-to-back Stanley World Cups, but they lost in 2007. They tried again in 2008, and they lost again in 2009. And then in 2010, they were hit with injuries. They lost 3 of their best players. 2 of their players got traded. 1 of their players was on drugs, so they had to get rid of him. Then they fired a coach, hired 2 new coaches, and then this team just started to struggle very badly as we got into 2011, 2012, 2013. You know, this team was trying to get back to a place it'd been to. They only won 1 Stanley World Cup, and they haven't returned back there ever since. And the reason for this is because of injuries. Now, when people ask, who is the best hockey team, the LA Kings or the Anaheim Ducks? Now, out in Anaheim, there's Disneyland. And out at the Staples Center, we got Hollywood. So I would probably say that I'm going to go with the LA Kings, not just because they won 2 championships, but because I know for a fact that when you talk about who is able to rise to the occasion like no one else can, I got to take the LA Kings. Now, the Anaheim Ducks, I do believe that somewhere in the distant future, they will in fact come back and win a 2nd championship, a 3rd championship, and who knows? Now, both these teams are in California, so I guess we could probably later on refer to this as the Battle of LA of hockey or something. But it's going to be called the LA Kings versus the Anaheim Ducks. And then when I put in the description, we'll probably say the Battle of LA of hockey or something. You know, so I just wanted to make this video because once we get to the month of October, it will be basketball season and it will be hockey. So, and then somewhere in mid-October, I'll be giving you that video that y'all all been dying for. The one video that I promised you that I haven't got to. It's called Sex on Halloween. So I know y'all impatiently anticipating that video. Until then, peace.